I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. ALS is a debilitating disease that negatively affects the muscles in your body. The disease will eventually lead to difficulty speaking, swallowing, and breathing. Arbor Active Against ALS is on a mission for change by working with organizations throughout the city to raise funds for research and treatment. For 10 years, the annual Boxcar Derby is dedicated to family fun as kids race for a cure. Joining me is Knut Hill, volunteer board member for Arbor Active Against ALS, Kate Chiang, last year's Boxcar Derby winner, and Bob Schoeni, living with ALS. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Knut, why don't you kind of fill us in on what Arbor Active Against ALS is? And you guys hold many events throughout the year to raise money for ALS.
Yes, we do. We hold many active events throughout the year. The purpose of that is to show that we are in opposition to what the disease does. So by holding events that are active, whether they be running events or swimming events or the Boxcar Derby, we get families and people out being active, which is the opposite of what the disease does to a person's body. It strips away their ability to be active and mobile.
It's interesting because I knew the name of I never actually thought oh yeah, all the events are active. That's the whole point of it, but it's a great way to fill it in and kind of explain what the organization is all about. Can you kind of tell us why it's so important to raise money and awareness for ALS? Because it is kind of an underfunded disease.
When neighbors and friends of Bob Schoeni got together when he was diagnosed in 2008, they quickly realized that this disease isn't in the spotlight and doesn't get as much research funding devoted to finding a cure or treatment. There are organizations out there that raise money to help patients with ALS with their living expenses as needs change at the home, ramps, and so forth. But a very small portion of that money goes towards research to finding a cure. So so the neighbors and friends got together and formed Active Against ALS in 2008 to raise as much money for research as we could.
So this was actually based on Bob's diagnosis, Arbor Active Against ALS?
Yes.
Wow. You really obviously have affected a lot of people's lives for them to care that much.
Thank you. That is a typical picture of what happens to a person who's active in the community, successful like Bob, who's a researcher at the university and also a beloved coach in the community. A lot of people were surprised when they heard that he was diagnosed with the disease. And having a good support community, I know, has meant a lot to Bob and his family.
So Bob was a coach before this, so you were like the epitome of active.
Yeah, and I had great joy working with young children like Kate.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was diagnosed, my oldest daughter was about Kate's age right now. And I think because I enjoyed coaching youngsters like Kate, the board decided to focus a lot of their energy on events where children are heavily involved.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. Can you talk about, I mean, it's only been 10 years, what kind of happened that made you realize that there was something wrong in 2008 where you were probably getting tested for it?
Yeah, I was playing tennis and having problems hitting the ball over the net. And my hand was quite weak. So after a series of examinations, they diagnosed ALS in July of 2008.
And do you feel like it's kind of moving a little faster than you expected it to at this point?
Yeah, it's actually moved a lot slower than I thought.
Okay.
And the statistics are not quite so rosy for people who have ALS.
Mm-hmm.
Most people survive about 2 to 4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So 10 years is like a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in the scheme of things, when you're thinking about it, you're like 10 years, that's like,
Right.
that's not a lot.
It isn't. But when you're thinking you have 2 or 3 years, 10 is a lifetime.
Yeah, definitely. So since this organization has started, have you seen or maybe know more people in the community that are active for ALS or living with ALS, or like it kind of opened your eyes to the disease?
Absolutely. The disease is so devastating for the patient suffering from the disease and the patient's family that they kind of go inward for a while at least. And so it's initially sometimes hard to make connections with families that may enjoy coming to Active Against ALS events, but those that find out about us have enjoyed coming and seeing the immense support that has come out from the community in Ann Arbor area. We have made connections with, I'd say, close to 20 different families with people with ALS from Southeast Michigan, but also across the state. The university that helps run the Boxcar Derby, they also have alumni members that have passed from the disease, and that alumni group has kind of come together around those alumni, and their participation in the Boxcar Derby is kind of in honor of those people that passed from ALS.
Mm-hmm. Do we know, is there like a fact sheet percentages of like how many people are afflicted? Like, is this a disease that a lot of people get, or is it because they feel like there's not enough people afflicted by it that's why we're not getting trying to find a cure?
It's right on the cusp of still being what's called an orphan disease,
Mm-hmm.
where there aren't enough patients at one time alive suffering from the disease to get as much attention from major pharmaceutical companies. And because the disease progresses so quickly, if it's 2 to 5 years for an average patient to live with the disease at any one time, that means that there just aren't very many people suffering from the disease. However, it is a fairly prevalent disease. Is it one person diagnosed every, I don't have it at my fingertips here.
Yeah, there are about, I think, 30,000 in the U.S. as a whole at any one time. But as Knut said, because people live only a few years, that is a under characterization of how prevalent it is.
Mm-hmm. So it's really more about the mortality rate that's
Right.
making people suffer even more without being able to find a cure, because they just don't have the time to spend with patients to find the cure, or even like make progressions to medications that could live you could live a longer life.
Right, exactly.
So do you find that you enjoy going to these events that they hold, and it kind of, I would imagine it would put a smile on your face?
Oh, definitely not. I love it on the events, especially the ones with young children, and brings back great memories, but also demonstrates firsthand the positive impact that their organization is having, not only today, but as the young people like Kate grow up. I think they're going to have fond memories, and that's going to impact their choices and decisions when they're adults.
Yeah, and I also think getting younger children involved helps bring awareness for the disease to a younger generation, and maybe they are the cure. Maybe they're going to be the ones to find it. So why don't we talk about the upcoming Boxcar Derby? Why don't you explain what the Boxcar Derby is, and then we'll talk to Kate a little bit about how it felt to be a big winner.
So the Boxcar Derby is an annual event that's been around, this is our 10th year, and with fraternity brothers from the University of Michigan, We co-host the event, and there are 2 ramps set up on a street that's steep, and kids have made boxcars out of plywood and 2x4s, painted them, decorated them. They get up on the ramps, and the green flag goes down, and they race down the hill. And the brothers, the fraternity brothers, are down at the bottom to catch them and slow them down before they get to the straw bales.
Yeah.
So then it's a bracket-style event, so the winner goes, advances to the next round of the winner's bracket, and the loser then advances through the challenger's bracket, and at the end, the winner of both brackets have a big face-off, and that's for 3 divisions. There's a 9 and under division, and a 10 and up division, and then a couple years ago we just started a adult division, so it's really for high school, college, and older kids.
Have you done it?
I have.
Yeah. Kate, why don't you talk about, you've been doing the Boxcar Derby at least the last couple years. Why do you like being involved with it?
I like being involved because it's just for fun, and
so your dad actually helps, or he helped make the car so you could be the winner of the race.
Yeah.
Did you end up helping him at all, or like being in there while he was doing it to kind of see the process, or you just want to be like behind the wheel?
I just want to be behind the wheel.
Why don't you talk about the actual like getting up on the ramp? How exciting is it to like actually be in this race?
Pretty exciting.
So you were in you're the 9 and under division?
I'm 10 now.
Okay, so but that was last year, or? Yeah. So you're in your division and you start your first race, which you're on. That part seems super exciting to me when you're on the ramp part where you're about to be let go down. Is it scary at all?
No, not really.
So how did you feel when you won your first race then? Were you like, I could win this? Because you actually did well the year before too. Did you think you had a chance to win?
No, not really.
No?
No.
Do you think your dad did something to the car to make it faster than the other ones?
I don't know.
You don't know? He's just got some skills.
Yeah, I guess.
So then when you got to your final race, were you at this point, were you like, I can win this race? When you were like at the finale, the last race?
I was really scared because whoever I was racing beat my sister.
Okay.
And she's already pretty fast, so I was really scared. Yeah.
Do you guys have the same car, or you have different cars, you and your sister?
We share the same car.
Okay, so it must have been something to do with your weight and the way you were driving, maybe, that...
Yeah.
So how did it feel to win the whole thing and get this awesome trophy?
It felt really cool, and actually didn't expect me to win it. I was just expecting my sister at the moment, but she was me, so it was really surprising.
That's awesome. So are you going to do this year's Boxcar Derby?
Yes.
Do you think you have a chance again? It's the same car, right? You're driving the same car?
I might. Catherine won 3 times in a row, so I'm not sure.
Oh, you can take her. When is this year's Boxcar Derby?
This year's Boxcar Derby is Sunday, April 8th at 1 o'clock at the north entrance of the Michigan Stadium.
And do we have to do anything now? Do we have to register?
Yes. Registration opened a week ago, and you can go to crowdrise.com/boxcar to register and also to raise money for and support the teams that are fundraising.
And how do they go about, if like Kate wants to raise additional money, should she just be reaching out to her friends? I mean, like, do we have a goal in mind for?
We make it easy for teams to fundraise, and so we use this crowdfunding site, and each team basically sets up their own platform there with a picture that you upload, and then if you want a description of why you're doing this or something fun about your car or your boxcar team. And then it's pretty easy to click and share through email or social media to her family and friends. So that's how we've set it up.
And then, so the other thing that I think people need to be aware of that haven't been in the Boxcar Derby before is you don't really have to create a boxcar from scratch. You have kits that people can get too.
Yeah, we have kits. We have cars that you can just show up and borrow on the day of. Some of our sponsors have their names on these borrowing cars. For the big kids, the adults, those cars can be rented, and then you just turn them back in at the end of the event. So that's what a lot of people do, is they take a car that's already pre-built, they paint it the way they want it, and then they show up and have fun with it.
I think what we need to do is get Kate's dad on the horn, commission him to make some cars, and then maybe these people could be winning. Well, we're just about out of time, but if each of you could just talk about why it's so important to support ALS, and if you wanted to add some of your own story in there to let people know why it is such an important disease to know about and to help find a cure for.
ALS is a devastating disease, and I'm very proud to be part of a group that has raised over $500,000 to fund research, some of which has been done at the local university, at University of Michigan. Like Bob said, I'm also happy to be part of a group that is coaching the next generation of compassionate people in our community.
Did you want to add anything, Kate?
I'm just really glad that I'm in the Boxcar Derby this year, not only to have fun, but also to raise money for ALS.
That's awesome.
And I guess I'd just add that I think this is an opportune time. The research on ALS in the last 10 years has progressed tremendously, and there are a lot of very promising potential treatments out there. And so I'm optimistic.
All right. Well, thank you all for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/watchctn. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.